Right off the bat, a teenage boy bullied by strangers, labeled a criminal right in front of his school traffic block. And this wasn't media sensationalism. It happened by ordinary people in everyday neighborhood watch groups. That boy was me. And yes, I was the police chief's son. It started one Friday afternoon, just as classes let out. I was walking down the sidewalk, hoodie pulled low, headphones in, carrying a backpack loaded with textbooks. I didn't speak to anyone. I didn't approach anyone. I didn't do anything wrong. Then I heard someone shout, "There's a suspicious black kid over there." A bunch of voices chirped in agreement, eyes scanning me as if I'd done something wrong. That moment exploded inside me. Hurt, anger, fear, disbelief. I glanced up from under the hoodie and saw myself mirrored in their faces. Shock, confusion, judgment. The more they stared, the heavier the label felt. Criminal. Threat. Danger. All words swirling silently around me. And yet I was homeschooled for a while, then brought into public school by my mother and father, the police chief itself. They didn't know that. They just saw a black teen. That was enough. The school bus pulling up cut through the tension. I boarded quietly, ears ringing, wondering, when does a teenager stop being invisible and start being suspect? When does your skin tone erase your identity? When does your father's badge vanish in the eyes of the crowd? That night at home, I told my parents everything. I described each face, each whispered accusation. My dad, the chief, looked stunned. My mom's heart broke. They hugged me close. I felt tears, shame, but trembling pride that my family believed me. They saw both sides, his authority, my anonymity under suspicion, and it changed something in their household. I wanted to do something. I wanted to flip the script. So 2 weeks later, after school board meeting debates on community safety, the chief quietly asked for a chance to do something local, visible, symbolic, educational. They pitched a youth-led program, neighborhood ride-alongs with police officers, open dialogues about racial bias, storytelling events highlighting community experiences. I was going to lead it. It became Walk With Me, a weekly Friday afternoon walk where kids, parents, and police officers walk together through residential zones. No cars, no uniforms, just presence and shared conversation. I walked first each week. I told them the story. As the chief's son who'd been called a criminal, I asked them to look at me, to see me, then look at the other kid, or the officer, or the neighbor, to question their assumptions out loud. At the first event, there were around 50 people, some curious neighbors, some local reporters, a lot of families. People wore colorful t-shirts. Walk with me. Assume humanity. No podium, just open mic by the park gazebo. I shared the story in my own words. How I felt mistaken, reduced, dehumanized. I did not cry, but voices shook at the edges. I said, I carry the same fears you might, but I also carry the weight of my family's position, and we want to bridge divides, not widen them. Every week we had a theme. One week the theme was who sees us and who only judges. We paired adults and kids across lines. Neighbors who'd never spoken to their local police buddy up for conversation. We did a scavenger hunt around downtown, focusing on positive interactions. Ask an officer their favorite part of the job. Ask a teenager their favorite class. Ask a neighbor something they love about the community. Most people were hesitant at first, but then they leaned in. Some participants shared stories. A grandparent describing coming to this country and never wanting authority to be fearful of them. A couple who'd installed their own surveillance cameras and never thought those lenses might scare someone walking at night. Teenagers talking about how they've canceled plans just to avoid potential profiling in red neighborhoods. Stories poured out. I held weekly reflection sessions at school assemblies, where students shared how they reacted. The black teens spoke about being pulled aside, stopped for no reason. Latino families spoke about language bias. White students shared they never realized any of it existed. Police officers spoke about implicit bias training, body cam footage, internal reflections. At one meeting, an officer said, I didn't realize how I labeled someone before knowing their name. A student replied, that's the whole point. Give us a name. Silence filled the room, across racial lines, before a male officer stepped forward and said, my name is Amir. That moment broke walls. One Friday, things heated up. A local blogger accused the program of being PR for the police department, calling my dad's department community theater. The blog blew up with critical comments. What's next? Chief's son turning street lights pink. Social media symbols lit up all around. Some angry messages slid in under the posts. At first I felt deflated, thinking the effort might backfire. Was the story too tied to authority to be honest? But the next week after the negativity, attendance doubled. More families came. More stories emerged. An immigrant girl talked about not trusting officers because of police violence in her home country. She said when I walked past neighborhood watch sessions alone, it felt safer. An officer told us he'd realized how stop-and-frisk assumptions developed over time, often unconsciously. The vibe shifted from top-down to mutual listening. 3 months in, the school board approved additional funding for Walk With Me. They got grants for t-shirts, for community art workshops, children painting murals labeled, "We are not invisible" on boarded storefronts, for a neighborhood festival where everyone came, teens, parents, officers, local teachers, and we ate, played games, drew chalk outlines of what we hoped bias no longer meant. I watched murals of fists turning into open hands, rainbows connecting houses, faces with eyes wide open. I saw people I never expected come greet me. My dad stayed mostly silent publicly, stepping forward only to share that he was proud not because his son started it, but because the program had become louder than him. He said, "I was in uniform with a rank, but today I follow as a father and I learn." My mom helped design the kids' badge sticker giveaways, little laminated ID cards that said, "Ask me my name," with a bright smile. We handed them out around the festival. Time passed. The media attention grew. A local news station came to film a Walk With Me session. They asked me questions. How it started. How it felt to be misjudged. What I wanted it to become. I said, I want people to remember that behind a label is a person who feels hope, fear, pride, shame, just like you. The clip showed me walking alongside other teens, smiling, talking. No dramatic confrontation, just everyday walking, everyday talking. The backlash blogs quieted after viewers saw the human side. Comments flipped to "It's healing," and this helped my community. By the end of the year, a city council member asked to replicate the program in another district, offered funding, staff, and coordination support. I stepped back, letting others lead. I'd always said I wanted it to grow beyond me. One morning I got a message from a young black teen boy, shy and quiet, who wrote, "I saw you walk. Now I tell my community watch. No, that boy is just Nathan. Ask his name." That message weighed more than any award or press coverage. Looking back, I know the story wasn't just about mistaken identity or assumptions. It was about how a community corrected itself when faced with a moment of misjudgment. It was about turning prejudice into conversation, silence into name recognition, fear into shared steps forward. A teenage boy labeled criminal took that moment and built empathy from it. And yes, I happened to be the police chief's son. That detail amplified the message, but it wasn't what made it real. What made it real was that I felt mistaken by people who had no idea who I was but still defined me. And the choice to stand up didn't come from anger. It came from wanting other kids not to feel invisibility or fear. So that's the full story. They called a black teen a criminal because of assumptions, and that teen turned it into a walking, talking, living community transformation. No villains, no hero worship, just noticing, naming, listening, and walking forward together. If you're watching this video, here's what to do next. Hit subscribe if you want more stories about what happens when people choose to empathize. Like the video if you notice something inside yourself change. Comment below. Have you ever felt judged because of your appearance? How did you respond? And share this video with someone who could use hope or inspiration, or a challenge to do something brave.